into the soft sand. So what do you think? Do you think that Hashem made such a creature, thought of all the details a creature like this would have to chew its cud, has to have a mouth, a digestive system that it can digest thorny, spiky bushes that would lacerate the mouth and the digestive system of any other creature. And he just forgot about the feet. So that didn't work. So he'll create a creature with feet that will swell out, they'll expand, they'll become wide, like webbed feet, so that it doesn't sink into the sand. Okay, that didn't work. We'll try another one. I think it's experimenting. He has infinite ability to create whatever he wants. He experiments a little bit with this, a little bit with that. He gives it some animals don't have big tail. He has big tail. Some animals don't have long eyelashes. Makes the camel with long eyelashes to keep the sand out. Oh, but sometimes the sand creeps in anyway. So he'll give him a muscle power in his nostrils. He can close his nose tight. Okay, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Gradually. It'll take a few million years to do it, and we'll work it out. Does that make sense? Is that conceivable? We believe in a God, a creator, who has to work things out, and we'll call it evolution. It takes a while, a few million years, each detail. But we won't give him a split hoof. The split hoof would sink into the sand. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, Miss Naomi. All right. Another thing we have to bear in mind with this whole theory of evolution is that, let's say that the creation of the world began on day one, okay? But things weren't exactly correct. So it took a few million years, billions of years to straighten things out and finally get things right. But we end up with a world like we have now. All right. So we have what we call a bell curve. Bell curve tracing the gradual development of species. And from day one, you have to admit that if all the species are going to develop and come from as a result of what is created on day one, and from there, everything is going to work its way out. It's going to evolve, right? And that's what we're supposed to think makes sense. I had a student once. He said, "What am I supposed to do? I'm taking anthropology. My teacher says the world is so many billions of years old." I said to him, "Well, just ask him where did life come from?" So he said, whatever he answers you, just keep on asking, well, where did that come from? Well, we came from monkeys. All right, you want to imagine that your grandfather is a monkey, that's okay. Where did the monkeys come from? You think there was a boy in Hadar Authority who was teaching release training. He's a very successful student now in San Francisco. But I remember he had a 6-year-old student who said we came from monkeys. And he looked at him and he said, "Tell me, do you really think that your grandfather went, oh?" He just laughed. He couldn't believe it. It was inconceivable. But if you think that it could happen, that means it's all possible. It's all there, programmed and ready to go from day one. It just takes a few billion years. Through zillion years, gazillion years, changes with each theory. Okay, but if you can So then the question is, let's say we could accept that. So now we have the bell curve, starts on day one, and then evolves over the billions of years till we get here. Question, does it matter where on the bell curve we start? Given that theory that we're going to say we could believe in that theory. It's only a theory, it's not a, we believe in God. We don't understand it, but we're supposed to believe in a theory that we can't understand. All right. But if we could believe in that theory, does it make any logical difference where you start? You start day one, you start day 10. Does it make a difference? How about day 1,000? How about day 2 million? Still got 8 million to go. Still plenty of room to develop the system, perfect it, get it right. Can you believe in a God who couldn't get things right? That's a different story. Well, if it's just a relative thing, that it could be on day one, it could be on day 1,000, it could be on day 2 million, it could be on day 3 billion, then it could equally be on a day 5,786 years ago. What difference does it make where you start, where you say is the starting point on the bell curve? So I explained this to the student, and he liked the idea. And he came back the next day, he was laughing. I said, what happened? He said, well, I did what you told me. I asked the teacher where it all began. And he said it came from the monkeys, and the monkeys came from the fish that came up on the land, and they gradually evolved to swing from the trees, and so on and so on. And I kept on asking, well, where did it come from? Where did it come from? Well, it came from, there was a big explosion. There were gases, and the gases exploded, and the world came, and the world came. So I asked him, well, where did the gases come from? And finally, the teacher gave me, he said, well, I don't know. I guess it must have been an act of God. Must have been an act of God. So if it's an act of God, then we're back to where we were in the first place. But if that's the case, then it doesn't really matter where you start. It's completely arbitrary. So here you have a document that it's documented by years. We know exactly when things happened. We know when the Jewish people, when Abraham left Ur Kasdim, and when we went down to Egypt, and how long we were in Egypt, and when we came out of Egypt, and when we got the Torah, and when we went into the Holy Land. So which are you going to believe in? You have a document that's clearly laid out in front of you with all the details, and you have a theory that really doesn't make much sense. He was quite satisfied with it. Okay. That's just a thought about where camels got their feet. How did camels get their feet? Remarkable. Did I tell you yesterday this remarkable fact that horses are afraid of camels? Did you know that? Yeah. They're used in warfare. If the army comes with a cavalry, chariots, cavalry, whatever, the horses get very skittish and they run away. They can't stand it. Camels have a smell, an oily smell that horses cannot identify, and it makes them terrified. So camels are used in warfare. And they can run very fast. All right. Camels were used for smuggling. What did they smuggle? In Asia, in the Far East, what were they smuggling across the border? Precious jewels and drugs. How did they smuggle? Since camels regurgitate their food, which is one of the kosher signs, they would feed them. I read this in a journal written by a Russian soldier who was traveling with the Russian army when they were fighting again in Afghanistan. a fascinating document. I came across it by accident. Isn't it such a thing as an accident? But anyway, I came across it. And he said there, he wrote there, that the smugglers use camels. They feed them packages, little packages with the contraband in the package. They go across the border, nothing to declare. When they come out the other side, after a few hours, the animal regurgitates, get the package back. How do you like that? Chapter 20. Lam Natseya Mizmel David Yantan Rabim Tzar Sedel Hashem Elohei Yankev Yishlach Esoham Mikodesh Mitzei Yisadeko Yiskor Kol Nichosecha Ve'elosh Dosh Naselam Yiten Nahol Vecha V'hol Atzasacha Yemolei Neranan Bishuasecha Uvashem Eloheinu Nidgel Yemolei Adoneko Mishal Esecha Ata Yodaite Ke Heshia Adonam Mashiach Yanehu Mishmei Kodshe Yigobor Yeshemine Ele Rechbe Susan Anakam B'Shem Adonai Eloheinu Nazkir Hema Karu V'Nafalo V'Anakam Kamnu V'Nis Eidad Adonai Yeshia Melech Yaneinu V'Yem Kareinu Hashem should watch over our people everywhere, wherever they may be. Chapter 14. So the Beinoni is really every man. Because every person has the potential to be a Beinoni. A very important general rule. Every person can be a Beinoni. Don't give up. Like Winston Churchill said, we will never, ever, ever give up. Okay, chapter 14. Anybody want to read? No. Okay. We'll read together. Chavrusa style. You know, educators tell us that Chavrusa style learning is much more efficient. When I was in school, they trained us to read quietly. Go to a yeshiva, it's everybody's screaming. Because it's a better way to learn. Why is it a better way to learn? Because to bring your awareness from thought into the realm of speech, these are two completely different levels. You can think in a split second or a few seconds of something that would take you a few hours to explain. They're different worlds. The world of thought and the world of speech. The world of thought is a whole world. You can do things in thought. You can say things in thought. I used to go to a quick copy place. They had a sign on the counter that said, "Speak when you're angry. You'll make the best speech ever that you live to regret. You'll always be sorry you opened your mouth. You lost control." They're different worlds. And if it'll take you a long time to explain what you thought of, it'll take you years, maybe even a lifetime to do it. People tried for centuries to figure out how to create a machine that would fly, until the Wright brothers finally discovered a way of doing it. And now, I remember the first time I saw a jet. I was about 8 or 9 years old. I was lying on the grass in our backyard and I saw jets. Oh, it was after the Second World War was over. That's when jets were introduced as vehicles of war. It's amazing. It was amazing to have jets. But then we still traveled in airplanes with propellers. There were 2 propeller airplanes, 4 propeller airplanes. DC-7 had 4 propellers. Could go further. Now you don't see any propeller. Hardly ever see a plane with propellers. Every 30 seconds, another jet goes over our house. We're on the roof. It used to be so noisy. It's not noisy anymore. Things used to take hundreds of years. Give them, but what does it show? That you can think. It will take you a long time to explain your good thought. It could take you years and a lifetime to actualize your thoughts. The things that you spoke about, to enable them to happen. Okay, chapter 14. V'hine midas habenani, the quality of a Beinani. What distinguishes the Beinani is that his heart desires to be good. But we have a conflict on the left side of his heart desires to enjoy his life. But every person can reach the quality of the Beinani, that even though he desires to have a good time, and the Rebbe said about a person who was frustrated that he wasn't having a good time, he's trying to do his best and he's not succeeding. The Rebbe said, nobody ever gave you a guarantee that it was going to be easy. That's where your whole character and personality is tested. Just like you create a tool, you heat it up red hot, you plunge it into cold water, and that makes it strong. The tests make you strong. But every person, second paragraph, Kol Adam Yochol, every person can, Lihi Ace, Beinani, Kandia, Beinani, Behol Ace, at any given moment, Ubehol Sha'ah, Beinani, Ein Lo Ace Bara, because the Beinani, his heart is not his default. That's what they call it in the computer, right? The default character of the Beinani is to be righteous. No, but not everybody has that. The default is when things aren't working out, so you go back to square one. What's the square one? Square one by the Beinani is not to be righteous. He's given the power to try for it, but it doesn't just happen by itself. And here's a big debate. Does a tzaddik become a tzaddik? Or is he born a tzaddik? A friend of mine, a colleague, I've known him for, almost 45 years, since he was a teenager. His father was a very fine individual. His name is Baumgarten. You may know some Baumgartens. So his great uncle was the first shliach sent to Argentina, Beryl Baumgarten. And Beryl's brother was Mendel Baumgarten, called Mendel Baumgarten. So one night, Mendel Baumgarten, when Chabad in America was still very young, like in the 1950s. So Mendel Baumgarten was in 770 around 10 o'clock at night. And where was everybody else? There was a wedding. The Rebbe came in and asked him, was he at the wedding? He said, yes. He said, did the Bochrim farbring after the wedding? That used to be the style. It used to be the Seder. Weddings are much smaller. Yeah, have a wedding in a small hall. And afterwards, the Bochrim would sit down with the Chassid. And they would say a l'chaim together, and they would farbring for quite some time. Until somebody would remind the Chassid he should take his kala home. So the Rebbe asked, did the Bochrim farbring after the chasana? So Mendel said, yes. So the Rebbe said, what did they farbring about? So he said, they farbring about the question, is a tzaddik born a tzaddik or does he become a tzaddik? So the Rebbe said, and what did you say? He said, I said a tzaddik is born a tzaddik. And the Rebbe smiled and went into his room. Because I think the answer is that they're both true. He is born a tzaddik, and we see stories of the Rebbeim, how brilliant they were, and how good and how sensitive from their earliest years. You know, the Rebbe Rashab, he could not sleep if his yarmulke fell off in the middle of the night. He'd wake up. He said, I said he was born a tzaddik. But other people would say, no, you become a tzaddik. You could become a tzaddik. An extreme example, let's say a person, the famous convert of Vilna, came from an outstanding aristocratic family and was against the law of the land, which was a Christian land, and was against the law for a person to become a Jew. And he became a Jew, and he was incognito for many years, and then he was discovered, and he was tried, and then eventually he was burned at the stake. So he became a tzaddik. He fought to become a tzaddik. Onkelos was a nephew of the emperor of Rome. He became a tzaddik. He had to fight for it. You know that Onkelos, you know what Onkelos did? Who was Onkelos? On every chumash you have down the side of the page an Aramaic translation. It was given to us by Onkelos. It's called the translation of Onkelos. The whole Torah. We learn it every week. It's a source of knowledge and details we don't have. It's a major source of the oral Torah. I was amazed to read. It's usually thought that Onkelos translated the Torah into Aramaic. He was brilliant. He became a convert, and he translated the Torah into Aramaic. The Caesar was very upset. He sent soldiers to bring him back. They came, they arrested him, they were taking him out of the house. As he went out the door, he kissed the mezuzah. They said, what was that? What did you do? He says, I kissed the mezuzah. He says, what's that? He says, it's a parchment. It has 2 paragraphs of the Torah in it. He said, well, what do they say? He told them what they said. They became Jewish. They released them. They became Jewish. They converted. So he sent out the second group of soldiers to bring back his nephew. And said, but don't talk to him. Don't say anything. Then he did something. They asked, what was that? And then they converted. And then the emperor gave up. Since he had self-sacrificed to remain a Jew, he was granted permission from heaven that he discovered the translation. Aramaic was the language of the day. The spoken language. It was given at Mount Sinai, but it was forgotten. A lot of things were forgotten. And he had the merit that he discovered this translation. How did he discover it? Did he work it out? Did he find some great teacher who taught it to him? Did he find some manuscript? We don't know. But he was given the merit of discovering the translation and organizing, or whatever he did, transmitted it to us. So he became a tzaddik. He started off as a Roman, believing in gods. Yisro became a tzaddik. What are you going to say? You're going to say that he had the potential to be a tzaddik? And in his lifetime, he revealed it. I think that makes sense. That a person could be created with a potential to be a tzaddik. And you know what? There's a special category for such people. And it says about them that they have the neshama of a of a convert. It's a special category of converts, a neshama of a convert. Where did it come from? Well, there's different versions. One is they came from sincerity, they searched and searched, and they found. Or they met someone who inspired them. Or you could give it a more spiritual explanation that when Hashem gave the Torah, this is a well-known medrash, when Hashem gave the Torah, he first offered it to every nation in the world. How did he do that? Where were the nations? Where were they? How are you going to answer that? Well, maybe the answer is that it was presented to the guardian angel of every nation. There's a medrash, it's quite clear that every nation said, what's in it? Hashem said, would you like to know about my law, my Torah? And every nation said, well, could be, what's in it? And when Hashem described the laws of the Torah, that's not for us. That's not for my people. Each nation has its own particular bent, their own spiritual weakness. That's what the Medrash seems to delineate. Like he went to the children of Esau, descendants of Esau. They said, what's in it? He said, you shall not kill. He says, what do you mean? We have a blessing from our father, Yitzchak, that we should live by the sword. It's not for us. He went to the children of Yishmael and said, you shall not steal. But you shall not steal. My children and grandchildren are all bandits. They live it says in the Torah, that the children of Yishmael lived in the wild places and robbed people. He came to the Egyptians. They said, would you like my Torah? They said, what's in it? It says, morality. You're not allowed to have an immoral life with all kinds of immorality. So that's not for us. If it moves, we'll do it. It'll be interesting. And every nation, they disqualify themselves. We're in business, we have to steal, we're this, we're that, every nation. So at the end of the day, in the end, this is the Medrash. Came to the Jewish people who were slaves in Egypt, and they said, do you want my Torah? And they said, yes, we want it. You know what's in it? No, we'll take it as is. If it's yours, we want it. And they make jokes about it. They said, do you want a commandment? We'll take 10. You want a tablet? We'll take 2. They make jokes about it. But that's what happened. And that's what we say on Shavuos. Hashem offered us the Torah. We said, Nasa v'nishma. We will do it. We will do it. But you don't know what's in it. We'll learn. We'll study. We'll learn. And when the Jewish people, that is to say, the spiritual ethos of the Jewish people, if you want to call it that, said Nasa v'nishma. It's recorded in the Torah in 2 places. Nasa v'nishma. We will do it at Mount Sinai. We will do it. And Hashem says, the Medrash goes on to say, that Hashem exclaimed with surprise, who revealed this secret to my children? That the proper response to Torah is, number 1, we will do it. Whether we understand it, we don't understand it, we know what's in it, we don't know what's in it, we will do it. Now, response number 2, but it's not dogma. It's not dogma. Dogma, you don't know what it means. The second, we'll learn it. We'll study it. We'll become wise in it. And that's Nasa, we'll do it, v'nishma. So every nation said no. When they had said, what's in it? They said, not for us. Thank you very much. But in every nation, there were individuals that said, yes, we do want it. I would like to have that, your Torah, Hashem. some of these people became the righteous of the Gentiles. But some of them were not happy enough with that. They wanted more. They wanted the whole Torah. What happened to them? So there is such a version that they became the converts of the future. And that person is born. So a person who converts, you could say they were born to convert. They were born with a neshama, a special level of neshama. It's called the neshama of a convert, neshama of a ger. So that gives a different view of the question: is a person born a tzaddik, or does he become a tzaddik? If a person has a neshama of a ger, that's a very righteous, very high level. It's higher than a Jewish neshama, in fact, because a Jew can only elevate through Torah and mitzvahs the world of Klippus Noga. It gets its light from Klippus Noga. Whereas the convert, the righteous convert, he does something that no Jew can do. He or she can elevate a non-Jewish body and bring it under the wings of the Shekhinah by virtue of the strength of the special neshama that they get from the day they're born. So this is a very important. Why am I bringing about this? Because the first line says here, every person can become a Beinoni. And some people are born with the potential. We're going to see later in this chapter, Hashem created all kinds of levels and gradations of neshamas, and one of these levels is the neshama of a tzaddik. In other words, some people are created with the potential to be wise. Some people are created with the potential to be pious. Some people are created with the potential to be righteous. And some people are created with the neshama of a ger, to become Jewish. So that throws a lot of light onto this conversation that the Rebbe asked Reb Mendel Baumgarten, what did they bring about? Is a tzaddik born a tzaddik, or does he become a tzaddik? And the answer is both. He's born a tzaddik. A real tzaddik is born with a special neshama, but he has to work very hard to make it his thought and speech and deed, and make it his whole life. Have a wonderful Shabbos. I hope that all sits well with you, and that it makes sense. And that's why there are many, many commandments in the Torah about how we should behave with a convert, because the convert has a very, very special soul. Have a great Shabbos, a very special Shabbos. The Doishim to you, commandment to be righteous, be holy. How can you command a person to be holy? Is that something I can control? Well, we learn that in thought, speech, and deed, yes, you can control. But will that be your neshama default? When things go back to square one, that's the main way to go. He was telling us, everybody, gets there, because everybody has the potential to lead a life like a tzaddik, though they may not be a tzaddik. Their life is a life of struggle. I once asked somebody, what is the struggle of a tzaddik? And the answer was the struggle of a tzaddik is to remain involved, be a partner with Hashem in elevating the whole of the creation. Because he would rather just stay in Gan Eden and learn and bask in the light and the radiance of the Shekhinah. He has to pull himself away and deal with lowly human beings. Remember, I had a person I was sent to stay with him when I came to Camp Crown Heights. It's on my second visit. And he used to say like this, we go to the Park together, and the Rebbe said inspiring words of holiness. He takes a break, see him sing, and the Rebbe looks at everybody and they say, have a cut, they say L'chaim, the Rebbe says L'chaim, and the Hasidim say, Moon. Moon.
Rabbi, can we have a paper for the door?
What?
Can we see the paper for the door?
They do. They agree. Thank you very, very much. This can go in the garbage. Thank you very much, girls.
Thank you.
Great job. I'll see you Monday. That's for sure.
Shall we send you this something?
We're in the week now of Netzach.
Yeah.
We started with Netzach. What is Netzach? Netzach is we're going to live. We're going to live. When nothing can stop us. We're going to get it done. Boy, next week after that, yeah, it's not enough to give. Person gathered information for his or her project, that big project. They had so much information, he couldn't have it. The next stage is getting it done right. Cut. You take a rough stone, you have to cut it and cut it and cut it. Make it into a diamond that sparkles. That's called making facets of the diamond. You need so many facets, so many. More size, more of the fractions, more shine. And that's up is like it's compared to two legs. That's up and boy, or two legs. Getting it done and getting it done right. This is the way of getting it done.
Yeah. I love to. Oh, you really gotta do this. Anyway, what do you say? No, it's nice thing about it. I just see. Hey, I think of your sound. No, I was asking you about it. Was that if you want this something you know anyone? You were only the way she said it after this month. But that was always funny. I know, I just like hearing her voice, and that's like the part that makes me crazy, like we're 22, 23-year-olds, like we're not even adults, we're not in the same class. But when it comes to she has no know, you like, that was just thing. But I thought it's even if you know it's a class, you know, you need to still be proud of this, you know, when you do it. I think I can see that. They don't know. Yeah, I think it was just something. It's not. You know, there's another how many out there. I mean, what? How many out there? Whatever the positive is what I'm gonna want. Yes. I see. Yeah, like anything you want. And you can wear it. Yeah. Why? Because I can close all the time. You don't lose it. What do you mean? What are you looking at? You awesome, you love it. I'm looking around and it's even all. I look at the bag and say, wow, what? Nothing, nothing. Oh, I did. I did see that you have more shoes than I did. Okay, oh, no, somebody comes all in their shoes. Yeah, it's good here, well. Mommy was called at 83. Then you know, but that's why they saw me all the time. Yeah. Second house. Moving to first. You have all the services. At my house, you have all the departments. But everything. Well, let's say that. Is there all of those? We have the big places here. They like the East bucket shelves. And I was able to like. And you get those back birds and food all the way in. Yes, I told you that about this. Right, you're so you're right, you don't run it out. So you know, you're never gonna know. Usually that's what we used to join that now. So I like this value for, I don't know. It's my mom's, and when she was like, no, well, it's like 40 years old. That's so cute. I got a lot of her clothes. I didn't keep most of them. But I like this one. What is it called? A shirt, sweater? Has a zipper. Very like. Yeah. I feel like an old lady when I wear it, but I don't. They probably be the old lady. No. Or maybe it's from American things I don't think. You could see it. If the world were a little bit like, it's sure well. They look some of them, a lot of them just close them. Yeah, yeah, it's none of them are lines that they're unaccepted by society. With granites, you have to wear like one color here, one color there, that they're wearing a design majority here. Like, it was all black skirt, who are you? All people like. I think yesterday we were talking about how Mama Iyar was the labor, and basically the first people who were started donating a program. That it was, you there? Yeah. They basically they wanna, like they told them to go and have a girl know one, and don't put the and so. I feel like they said. I understand that. Oh. Yeah. Especially if they're not married then. This is a guy, I don't know what to do, is for seeing, what high school is there, and you have to use it. He said, so tell the story. Because it was like the whole some of the story, because about the farm, and like, about school. Girl, they told them about the resident thing, they would have been out. So, yeah, I was like, I'm about sugar and then it's like, oh, this, that, and I was just like, in my head, I was like, you're not gonna be seeing me. My color. I was laughing at that, it's not so funny, like. Well, I don't think about it. Well, they said they did bus stop like this, the other way, yeah. At least in Brooklyn, for like. Some colors, because some people back to go to, or when it's work that, you know, it's really bad, I don't know. Or is it not, my heart, I don't get that properly.